Hello and welcome to The Breakdown with Benjamin Nguyen for the week of June 7, 2021. This is the second week of the breakdown, and there's a lot of information to parse through this week, so let's get right into the weekly. On Monday, June 7th, District Attorney Stephanie Bridget made a statement that her office had concluded the investigations of allegations of fraud made towards Recall Shasta. This is related to the gathering of signatures for filing the notices of intent to recall members of the Board of Supervisors. The findings have now been referred to the Secretary of State. At the Shasta County Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday, June 8th, the board voted 4-1 to censure Supervisor Leonard Modi of District 2 due to a grand jury's conclusion that he committed misfeasance during the events of the car fire in 2018. The lone dissenting vote was from Patrick Jones of District 4 because he disagreed with a portion of the board's official response to the grand jury report. On Friday, June 11th, Red, White, and Blueprint cast member Carlos Zapata did not appear at a court hearing to address the temporary restraining order against him. His legal counsel appeared instead, stating that Carlos was out of town on vacation. The temporary restraining order is still in effect. And now, to the breakdown. There's been a lot of discussion lately about how local government spends our taxpayer dollars. So let's break it down. This is going to be a high-level overview, but since I hear about it frequently, I think it's important to discuss. The following is the 2021-2022 fiscal year budget resolution that was approved by the Shasta County Board of Supervisors on June 8th. The county budget this year is an estimated $599 million, which is a 5.35% increase from the last adopted budget. The general fund is 33% of the budget, at an estimated $198 million. If you've read the previous budget, it appears to be 3 times larger than the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget. But it is important to note that for the 2021-2022 fiscal year, public safety has been rolled into the general fund, which is more in line with how other counties manage this funding source. Instead of paying out to public safety from the general fund, it is now managed from within that funding source. A bulk of the general fund comes from property taxes. About 12.46% of each tax dollar goes into the general fund. It's also important to note that the county just can't spend this money in any way that it would like. Most of that funding source is dedicated to public safety. As you can see here, the top 2 things your tax dollars fund are the sheriff and the jail. A subset of that general fund can be spent on discretionary items, but it's relatively small in relation to that fund as a whole. At roughly $66.7 million, any and all wish list items that aren't in a grant or supported funding stream would have to come out of that budget. Then you have special revenue, which is nearly $314 million at 52.37% of the budget. These things are funded by things like sales tax, vehicle license fees, and state and federal grants. These funds are very restricted in how they can be used. The county cannot just reappropriate where they go. These specific types of funding streams have to be spent on things like social services, mental health, public health, and roads. A good example of this is the CARES Act funding grant of roughly $18 million that was received by the county for COVID-19 related relief. The funds received were predicated on where they would go, and the county could not receive the funds unless they were spent in the way dictated by the federal government. Some people have been trying to make the case that since only 22%, or $4 million, was given to businesses when the lion's share funding went to the county as a way to try and prove some impropriety on behalf of the county. The fact is, these funds weren't intended to be used that way, and at 22% of the dollars received, Shasta was in fact more generous with business support than many other counties in the state. Another important piece of the puzzle is the unfunded liability for CalPERS retirement. While it is important to note that the county is currently underfunded, detractors of the county's financial position in the matter have exaggerated claims to that fact. The fact is that Shasta County is currently 71% funded, or roughly $266 million unfunded. This is actually the average for counties in California. This isn't to say it isn't a genuine concern. Just know that anyone stating egregious claims regarding the county's liability is attempting to use that for their own political influence. Lastly, if you're interested in where your tax dollars have gone over these past 3 fiscal years, I would implore you to read the Citizens Report that is conducted yearly by our county auditor at this address. And that's the breakdown for the week of June 7th, 2021.